Good day and welcome back. Oh man. So this episode is about working on that whole missile launcher assembly that is the on the back of the Smersh. Um, oh my goodness. I struggled. Literally, I had gotten to the point where I actually filmed an I quit video. I got very, very, very frustrated. And honestly, the part that set me over the edge was it wasn't even my fault. Well, I guess it was because I didn't look ahead in the instructions. The instructions, in this case, the instructions do mislead you. So we'll get into that. I did find a way to get past it, and essentially by the end of this video, I have everything assembled, and in the next step, we'll go on to the weathering and so forth. So here's what I dealt with. Okay, so I'm cranking along on step 57, 56, 57, and it dawns on me to make a mention of something. One of the reasons that armor modelers tend to go out and buy metal barrels for their tanks and so forth is putting together, like the barrels, you get the seams on the barrels. So I'm going to point out these are, one of the, or pretty much the thing about this model is, or this subject, I guess, is the, come on, really? Here we go. Is this giant assembly of tubes, right? So guess what you're doing? You're building a whole lot of tubes. And when I say a whole lot, I mean a whole lot. And that's not all of them. I'm still cranking along on doing these. And it dawns on me that as I'm doing this, I've still got all these tubes to do, but 12, 12, 12, 12. So you do 12 of these, you do 12 of these, you do 12. Oh, anyway, you guys can read. Point being, the way these go together, I did notice, I got into doing them and I found this little routine that worked well, and something I noticed about the way they go together, and it dawned on me to sort of mention it. The way these go onto the sprue is your sprue gate is sitting on top of this, so you don't clip it like here, you clip it this way. So grab my cutters, they're sitting over here. So when they're sitting on the sprue, clip like that, and that takes that off. And then what you do is just go back and, you'll have that little bump here, but you won't have anything on on the outside here. Now, with that said, the one thing I do want to point out about this, and this set so far has been the worst, as far as how they go together. So you'll see we have these locating marks here, and pretty much I do that, but what I've found is they don't like to stay. And see, that's exactly what happens all the time, is it flips like that. Now, I don't want my fingers here, and there's a reason for that, and I'll show you that here in a moment. So it's important for me to be able to hold them this way. Now, I want to point out that you see how those go together. They're not flush, right? So you see there's sort of a trough when you look at it from the inside. Now, the nice part, let's get this thing to focus there. The nice part is they do mate up fairly well on the seam on the outside. So if they're going to fit poorly, at least they fit poorly there. So what I ended up doing, and the trick that I have here, is this. Take these, and I'm using something I don't usually use, and that's Tamiya Extra Thin Quick Set. So this stuff works faster than the regular Tamiya Extra Thin, and I found in this case, this is a good thing. So I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to leave my fingers here, but normally what I do is what I have been doing is I've been holding them like that. And normally, it's difficult for me to do this on camera, but normally what I do is I'll hold them like this. And I'm just putting, you can see how that's what happens. So I'm putting just a touch pressure there, but I get that. Then I take this, I touch it to the inside, not the outside. And then I can put just a tiny bit of pressure, move it around just a little bit, and it seals up well. Then I flip it around, and again, I hit that, touch the inside, and it does all its capillary action on the inside of the part. Runs the glue down. I don't get glue on the outside until it seeps through after it's mushed together, right? So just take it, hit it right to the inside. It'll run along that seam. But then when it sets up, it's clean. And then there's just a little bit of cleanup you have to do. Now, all of the things that we've done, now you see right there, there's a little bit of where it doesn't quite fit. And this is something I've found with these is they aren't perfect, but they're close. So we do have to go back and clean all of them. But like doing all of these, right? You can see there, right there, that doesn't quite. So, but I've caught the two ends here at each end. And then maybe what I'll do right, well, not maybe, I'm going to do it right now. I'll just touch that spot right there, then hold it, and that'll fit. Now I'm going to have to go back and clean up this seam on both sides of these. And on all of these, there's seam cleanup to do. But you have to go through 36 tubes. You got to make 36 tubes. So basically 36 of the things that, armor modelers hate, which is why they go buy brass barrels, but you're not going to buy brass versions of these things. So basically take your time, just get these things, take your time putting these together, make them, make sure you, and the nice thing about it is that the artifact on the outside helps make sure that when you're looking at the outside, you can see it. So right now I've got that where I want it. And then I can just touch here. I get my fingers out of the way quickly down there before any of the glue gets down there. Right? And now I'm here. That side and that side. And that will get this mostly done. I will have, like I said, cleanup to do. But we'll get to it. All right, moving on. Okay. So I'd actually filmed an I quit video because I got to this step of these steps. Actually, it was this step right here. And I got stuck. I got stuck to the point where I couldn't get any further. So I figured a couple things out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to a version of that because there is something important that I did cover in that. So let me cut to that. All of these steps, they go together. Now, some of these things are pretty... All right, I'm going to point this out. See this and this, right? This is very clear on how this is supposed to be put in. It is also backwards. It's upside down. And I did not see that until I started working on this part, trying to get these things to fit, because that didn't make sense on where and how this piece would go in with regard to all of these until I got to look. And then I saw that. And you see, there's that piece, and the piece that they showed you over here is inverted, is upside down. In order, I was able to soften it, get it separated and so forth, but it's now very weak. And what I am struggling with greatly is what's needed to get these pieces to connect all in. Okay. So, yeah. So basically the real frustration here is it came from that part. And then the other thing is these pieces here they don't fit well. They don't snip in and they don't stay in well to guide through. Now, I did manage to get them in. I did manage to get them put up and finagled with. Um, you can see I'm still working on it. I've gotten, and these were not as bad, but they were difficult, right? So these have been drying overnight, and I'm about to do these guys. So with these guys going in, then I'm going to go back and put in these pieces and these. Now, these pieces, Q1, where are you guys? Here you are. Yeah, so these little guys, these are little thin strips, and they go here. See that hole right there and that hole right there? Now the cool thing about these is, let me see if I've got it right here. I have one cut out, and it's sitting somewhere. Of course, it's not sitting where I can find it. But basically, they're thin, so you can actually put those in to those spots. I can't put them in there, but I can put here, here, here. I can put those guys in with this already put in. So the ones I won't be able to get to are those two. And given that I can't see them, you know, because I can see this guy and I can get this guy. I might be able to get to that guy in there. Might be able to get to that guy up in there. We'll see. There's touch-up painting, etc., and all that stuff yet to do. But then once I get all that in, then I can go ahead and move on, and we're at the little final assembly stages. But here it is. Here it is. Yeah. So you see how this guy's like really flimsy. So what I can do, see if I can do this on camera. So I can get that right there. So I can get this guy put right there. Then I can get this guy. I can just get my fingers in here. I can bend it just enough to get it in place there. Right. So I still have to clean him up, which I haven't done that yet. But so you can do that later. Trying to put that on, and then finagle that while you're doing all these. Yeah, forget it. So that is again. Yeah. Anyway, so there we go. I'm going to continue to move on and get the assembly part of this done, and we'll go from there. So I went ahead and used my little magnetic stand to hold the tubes vertically so that they would square, glue and harden square up. You can see it from both angles here, and it was actually a pretty helpful device. I really like it. Then I had to go in and put the windows in because I'd waited till this point. I covered them with the liquid frisket, put it down on sticky tape, and just sprayed it. And that's a pretty straightforward method. I didn't, the outside's the part that needed the paint. I did have some small issues with the ones for the windows with the frisket, but we'll get to that later. Once I got them in place, just hit them with a shot of glue and they go in fairly well. I did decide to pose the doors open so that we could go ahead and see the detail I'd done inside. Okay, and we are as done with the assemblies we're going to get. I have gone back and done a little bit of detail painting. Very, very little bit of chipping around the edges here, and it's probably barely visible. There's a little more there than I would like to be, but that's actually going to get covered up in the weathering. Chipped around where the hinges are here, and basically places where the paint would get chipped. I mean, where there's the most use. I'm not really heavily chipping the heck out of this, just because it's not a direction I want to go. So I'm not going to make it really like worn out, rusted, that kind of thing. This isn't the kind of vehicle that would be. I did put some wear in here and some chips in through here and along the, again, where people would be walking. But I don't want this to be just all dirt. Now, a couple things I've discovered. I have serious problems with the glazing on the doors. The windows, the rest of the windows were fine, but the 4 door windows seem to have reacted to the frisket. I don't know why, but it's a I can't figure a way to get them out. So what I'm going to do is um, dirty the doors. I'm basically going to make them dirtied up and kind of cover up some of that the damage to the glass with dirt and dust. Um, I'm going to dust this. I don't want this again heavily dirty. I will be doing a bunch of oil stains and some use stains, but it's not going to be very heavily filthy. It's not going to be caked in mud and so forth. I'm going for something of a summer look, kind of like this image I get here. Okay, so that's the direction I'm planning to go. Again, like I say, I probably will. Well, I will be dusting up underneath the undercarriage here, and you have to really be careful when you pick this thing up. So we'll be doing the dusting up underneath where it can be seen and so forth. I've started making the scenic base, which is not much bigger than this vehicle. I originally had a little diorama in mind, sort of going back to current events, but the size of that is bigger than it would basically take up an entire shelf, and it would have been a much larger project than I really wanted to devote that to. So that may come about at a later time. That one of the other issues I have is display space. I'm limited. But with that said, now that I've gotten the assembly done, it's now time to go on to doing the weathering, the detail painting and the weathering. And like I said, it's going to be doing my usual oil paint washes to accentuate the shadows, and then we'll move from there. I've been on the fence as to whether I want to do airbrush dust up underneath, and I think I'm not going to do that. I think what I'm going to do is actually use pigment powder more than anything, because I would like it to be really just dusty rather than dirty. What I will do with dirt is have a little bit of grime in corners, and especially up here on the engine, and this compartment here, getting in through here and putting in some dirt and oil grime, like up here where I have some issues with the way all that fit. I want to go ahead and camouflage some of that with dirt and oil stains. But I don't want to make this, like I said, really rusty, crappy, all beaten up and so forth. So we're going to go for a moderately subtle but worn look. And so, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so yeah, that was it. It is assembled, and we have all of the major painting done. Before I go into doing the weathering and so forth, I will go back and I'll look at any little detail painting or touch-ups that need to be done. But all the little pieces and parts are taken care of. The little extra pieces that I've skipped, I'll be walking through, making sure I've assembled all those, and any little minor chipping and so forth has been done. But our assembly's done. Again, I hope this was useful, entertaining, and helpful. Please, again, feel free, offer up suggestions, comments, as long as they're polite and respectful. I appreciate them. I do appreciate everybody who watches my videos, and anybody who comments, please do feel free. Just like I said, keep it respectful. I am learning, and this is one of those cases of do as I don't do. Learn from the struggles that I have, so that hopefully it's easier for you guys. So with that, we'll go ahead and close out this video, and until next time, as always, thank you for watching and happy modeling.